Hello. It's true to say that anything not from today, so yesterday or before that, well, it's all kind of considered history, I suppose, isn't it? And in this particular instalment, we're not having to go too far back. In fact, perhaps we'll have to revisit this topic in a year or so, because it's so uniquely fluid. UFOs. UAPs, as they're commonly referred to these days. So, are we witnessing significant history in the making? Let's meet some of the movers and shakers in this extraordinary story so far. This is Ross Coulthart, a British-born Australian journalist. With a 30-year career in print and TV, he's also won numerous industry awards, but he's really carved out a reputation in investigative journalism. In November 2023, he officially joined the US-based News Nation, an American cable news network that claims to be politically unbiased and centrist. A politically unbiased news network. That's a novel idea, right? I wonder if it'll catch on. In June 2023, News Nation released an exclusive about a UFO whistleblower. His name, David Grush. David Grush is an Afghanistan combat veteran and a former US Air Force intelligence officer. In the News Nation exclusive, Grush claimed that the US federal government maintains a highly secretive UFO retrieval program and possesses multiple spacecraft of what he calls non-human origin, as well as corpses of some of the dead pilots. This led to an eagerly anticipated congressional hearing in late July 2023, and Grush repeated some of those claims under oath, stating that the US has likely been aware of non-human activity since the 1930s. So we all know that kind of Roswell story, right? That was late 40s? On that day in Congress, alongside Grush was former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves and retired commander David Fravor, who were both quizzed about their alleged encounters with aircraft of unexplained origin. Fravor offered the panel his own account of a UAP encounter that was actually filmed in 2004. Now get this, that piece of video was not something off a conspiracy theory website or anything like that. It was released by the Pentagon. Yes, the Pentagon. And they released it in 2020. Fravor described being flabbergasted. Well, that's one way of putting it. Now, this Tic Tac video was actually brought to public attention by this next chap. Luis Elizondo, a former senior intelligence officer and special agent who was recruited into a strange and highly sensitive US government program. Now, in November 2024, he took part in a second congressional hearing. Yeah, a second one. Congress, again. Under oath, he stated, "Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe." You really got to get your head round that, haven't you? Right. Okay, now we go back to Ross. It's January 2025, and he introduces us to this chap, Jake Barber. A former US Air Force aerospace mechanic, and also once worked in the US Air Force's Elite Combat Control Unit, serving as a freefall parachutist, combat sniper, and wait for it, a helicopter pilot. Oh man, that's cool, right? Come on, every kid wanted to be one of those once, eh? For me, it was because of this. Chopper Squad, the best program in Australian TV history. And for many others, it was probably because of this. Jake actually grew up to be a bona fide helicopter pilot. Good on him. In fact, he even had a NATO top secret security clearance, so that's pretty high up the chain. However, everything changed for Jake in 2001. He'd left the US military and was establishing himself as a private contractor. Being sent out to California, he was contracted as a helicopter pilot and was part of a team assigned to retrieve crashed aircraft. They were then tasked with delivery to an undisclosed testing facility in the desert. Which sounds a bit, how's your father, doesn't it? Undisclosed testing facility. And these objects could only really be described as being exotic. Not like that, though. And this is where it gets a little bit weird. As explained to Ross Coulthart in the News Nation exclusive, looking at the object on the ground, he could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. I can't imagine me coming out with the term, "Oh, that looks rather anomalous," if it was me personally. But yeah, maybe because he's military or something, I don't know. It was definitely not of human origin, apparently, and it was shaped like an egg, metallic and pearly white. Perhaps something similar to that Tic Tac which Commander Fravor had seen on the San Diego coast. Jake was actually never told if it was from humans or not by his employers, and still doesn't know to this day what exactly the object was or where it ended up. Ultimately, he was just the delivery guy. No questions, just do it. However, the News Nation exclusive did release amazing imagery of the egg. Yes, it's like an egg. It is. That would make a bloody big chicken, wouldn't it? And not long after, an even stranger encounter happened. This was with something that Jake referred to as an 8-gon. An 8-gon being a flying disc with 8 delineated sections that Jake could see when looking down from his helicopter cockpit. Flying in for the pickup, Jake felt a bit disoriented and suddenly felt quite emotional, and he really had to focus on the task at hand. And this is where it gets, again, weird. He said he felt a connection with whatever they were moving. This cargo, this 8-gon, a connection. Not like a spiritual connection, but like a sort of frequency connection. Over the following years, Jake was to make numerous pickups with cargo that could only be described as mysterious boxes. And this resulting, which is kind of outrageous when you think about it, in the whole retrieval team becoming extremely ill. Jake actually got alopecia. His skin started falling off his arms, and he developed a severe heart murmur that had not been present before. Again, Ross Coulthart, eager to assist and discover the truth, pointed Jake into the direction of Stanford University immunology professor Dr. Gary Nolan. Now, Dr. Nolan has been studying anomalous injuries among US military personnel for years. And get this, he's been doing it at the request of the CIA. Yes, the CIA. And his take on Jake's experience is that the crew had been exposed to some kind of radiation. So had Jake's employers knowingly put him and his crew in harm's way? Well, Jake thinks not. In fact, he thinks they haven't got a clue what these things were. Now, there are various theories flying around, no pun intended, about what's happened so far with this whole UAP-UFO situation. Individuals like Jake, David Grush and Ryan Graves have actually stated that they have felt that they have put their lives in danger for coming out of the shadows, which is kind of a worrying situation, isn't it? And there are other high-profile individuals also committed to bring this out into the public domain. Jeremy Corbell, Dr. Stephen Greer, George Knapp, to name just a few. So, is the military involved? Are there really aliens? Or are private organizations with power, influence, and advanced tech behind all of this? Or maybe it's all three. I don't know. Is it real? Who knows? But there's been 2 congressional hearings on the subject, and that can't be for nothing, right? Is it intriguing? Well, yeah, absolutely it is. Could it be that we're witnessing significant history in the making? Well, I guess that's just a matter of watching this space. Aha. There's said to be more evidence, and even more people from the military willing to talk about their experiences. So perhaps another congressional hearing is on the cards. All I can say is that if there is an advanced alien civilization, they come in peace. But when you think about it, with all this kind of amazing technology that they're alleged to have, then if they wanted to have brushed us aside, then they would have done that already, wouldn't they? So perhaps they'll pop out and finally say hello like those friendly Vulcan folks in Star Trek. Wrong hand signal. Hang on a sec. I can never do this. Right. Stay.